Part of the 2018 Women's Advocacy Day, which is a partnership among a lot of organizations, the YWCA of Southeastern Massachusetts, the Women's Fund of Southeastern Massachusetts, the Bristol County Commission on the Status of Women, the Martha Briggs Educational Club, and Coalition for Social Justice, along with many schools. We are here again, meeting at our sister school parking lot to take a bus to the State House to talk to legislators about some important legislation that affects women's economic security and that are all priorities in our economic blueprint for women. We have 2 busloads going up to the State House to talk to elected officials, but we wanted to say a few things first about why these issues are important and introduce some local business people who support changes to make the workplace fair and equitable for women workers. So I want to give a special shout out to Jordan Couliot for her work. She heads Girls Exclusive at the YWCA. She's working hard registering people at the table there. She's been the lead in coordinating today, and thanks to the YWCA. Today we're here advocating for women, many of whom can't be here today because their work schedules don't allow. They don't have the flexibility, they can't take leave. Low-wage workers don't have a lot of the rights and benefits that are needed for equity. So we're here to talk about several bills and issues that will make a difference. One of those is paid family and medical leave, we are the only country in the world at this point without paid parental leave. And paid medical leave is also a critical issue because women end up being caretakers for their families. And if they're not able to take time away from work without flexibility and a secure job when they return or some income while they're there, then it's a huge risk financially for their families. So we really want to see this happen. We're also here to talk about access to childcare, affordable childcare, funding for quality childcare. Several bills that have to do with this, rate reserve funding, and also a universal pre-K bill. We know that it makes a huge difference for kids and families to get a fair start, to have access to quality childcare, and also for moms who want to go to work and school. And we're also here to talk about the issues around the minimum wage and having a fair wage for workers. We know that most minimum wage workers are women, and many of whom are supporting families, and that it is not enough to live on. And related to education costs, many of us are going to be talking about the Fair Share Amendment, which would create revenue for education and transportation through a tax over $1 million income, a higher tax. And we're also talking about gun control, which the 8th graders at our sister school here brought to us as an issue, in particular looking at specific safety for high-risk situations, taking guns away from folks who are at high risk. So without further ado, because folks are lining up here and you might want to get a shot of the crowd behind you and many of our partners, I want to introduce some of the folks who are here to talk about why these things are important for small businesses. We often hear that businesses don't like these changes or are worried about these changes and what they will cost businesses. On the other hand, we know that these are actually good for business and good for workers. So without further ado, I want to introduce some folks who are part of the Main Street Alliance, which gathers businesses to talk about issues that are good for workers and good for business. Beginning with Karen Lammy D'Souza, who is at Advance Air and Heat. Karen.
Well, hello everybody, and first I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their day to do this very important task of going and speaking for us in Boston. I wish I could join you,
We do too.
But unfortunately, business calls. I am the owner of Advance Air and Heat. We're a family-owned commercial heating, air conditioning, and refrigeration company out of Freetown. We service basically anything in an hour in any direction, commercial, industrial, HVAC. We are also a certified women-owned business.
Yay!
Congratulations.
I relate personally to the Family Medical Leave Act in a couple of different ways. First, personally, within my own family, and second, from my business, from my employees. My business, actually my dad started my business out of our home in 1986, out of our dining room. Just moved the table over, put a desk in there, and Dad did everything except for run the office, which my mom did for him. So there wasn't a lot of time away, particularly in the summers, which is very difficult for a kid. But it's both of them put a lot of time, effort, energy into the business. Taught me so much about responsibility and what we owe to the people who depend on us, our employees. Several years ago, both of my grandmothers had sick issues. My maiden name is Lammy, so Grammy Lammy had dementia, and our other Grammy called Other Grammy. That's just what we called her. She had Alzheimer's, and my mom fortunately was able to take some time away to care for both of them with the help of some great local nursing homes. And we were very blessed to be able to do that. The impact that her time spent had on my grandparents' lives. Excuse me.
Yeah. It's very difficult.
Sorry. Just give me a second here. I think the camera is like a little bit too much here. I'm just going to do this for a second. Don't mind me.
It's like after the marathon. We're
going to cut to the crowd. Sorry. But I mean, the impact is really dramatic to be able to spend that time and improve the lives of the people in your family. Fortunately, my mom was able to do that as a business. Not everybody has that ability, and that became clear. One of our employees, let's call him Charlie, his mother became very ill and had to move in with him. And because we do HVAC, he had a lot of skills that enabled him to actually do a lot of the work to make an in-law apartment for her. But that meant, long day of working in the sun, doing HVAC work, coming home, doing plumbing, electrical, carpentry, and it was a lot. You could see it in his energy level, you could see it in his emotions. And we do have some paid time off. We have the sick leave and vacation leave, but it just wasn't enough. And, we did what we could to help him out, but what ended up happening is, he was giving too much in too many places, and we just ran out of funds to help him. And he, of course, he's got kids in college and medical bills and all of the above, mortgage, so he wasn't able to take unpaid time off. So we were both put in a position where neither one of us was really getting what we needed, and I think that's why we really need this type of law. No small business can do this on their own and remain competitive in the market. So we all need to band together to do the right thing, make this happen, so we can take care of our employees.
Thank you. Great. Well, you are a great employer. Thank you, Karen. I wish we could all work for you. I now want to introduce Jim and Maddie Jazerski.
Yep.
From Noodle Bowl, a great new business in downtown New Bedford, who are also outstanding employers and have a great philosophy about how to treat their workers. So perhaps you could talk a little bit about what you're here to say.
Sure. We just started. We're a very new business. We opened in April. I'm a nurse, still a nurse, and he was a
retired
cabinet maker. But and our son is a chef. Paid big bucks for this young man to go to school, and he came out of school working in the kitchen making $11 an hour, working 60 hours because the employers were like, no health benefits, nothing. My daughter, also in high school, the way to make money for these young girls is to be waitresses, and that's what she became. But she depended totally on tips. And some days it was great. Hey, Mom, I made $200 in tips today. Other days she's like, I made $20, Mom. So there was never this, and I started to think, wow, how do women who have families handle this salary issue? It's not something you can count on. So when we decided to open a restaurant, our discussion was, we're going to pay our staff a living wage. We don't have the model that, you come to your table and the waitress comes and takes, so our staff wouldn't be getting a lot of tips. So we decided we'll pay them a living wage, which will help them pay their bills or, live somewhere. And if people want to tip, that's great, but they don't have to tip. So our prices are a little bit higher with the expectation that our patrons do not tip our staff because we are paying them. But my philosophy is if you pay them, they will have some sort of ownership in the business. And that's what we wanted. We wanted staff that would stay with us because, hey, I'm making a good wage here. So that's why we decided in our kitchen, the prep cooks and the dishwasher, they work so hard, but they just get a wage. So in our restaurant, the tips are pooled and it is split.
Whatever cash tips.
Yeah,
come
Right.
in.
And it's divided between not just the front of the house staff, but it's given it's shared with the dishwasher and the prep cook because they work awfully hard too. So and that's how it was. It was just saying we got to do a little bit better, and I want loyalty, and I think you get that.
Plus, it also the Noodle Bowl, New Bedford.
Ah, I've heard wonderful things.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Plus, it's also based on the fact that if you pay your workers a reasonable wage, that money is you're investing it back into your community. All right, they're going to have more buying power. We have a menu posted on our front window, and most people walk by and look at it, come in and enjoy what we have to offer. But I have talked to a number of people that have remarked, "Oh, I'd like to come in, but the price is a little high." And I have explained to them or given them the reasons why we do that, and the idea that if you invest in your community, if you give the money back to the people who are working for you, they're going to then have the money maybe not to spend directly in my business, but to spend at another business, which will then, that owner may come in and be a patron of our restaurant. So it's not just the idea of helping those few individuals who work for you, but setting a model for the other businesses in New Bedford, the other restaurants that tend to go on those traditional wage models, to say to them, look, is it easy to do? Of course not. It's not easy. Does it affect our bottom line? Yes, it does. But if everyone makes that commitment, then everybody goes up the ladder together instead of just individuals gauging their business as, oh, I'm a success because I've got a great bottom line. But the turnover in their establishments and actually the attention that their employees give them and that they give back to their employees is lagging. So so many things that we try to do in our society, you look to government to do, and they do bear a tremendous responsibility. But if you don't act on an individual level, there's no support for that. So it has to come from the bottom. It has to come from the bottom because the people in government they're our servants. They need to know what we want them to do.
And that's why we're going to the State House today to tell them what we want them to do. And we will carry your message with us. I hope everybody will patronize and matronize the Noodle Bowl and Advance Air and Heat. You all are great examples of valuing community, valuing workers, as well as the bottom line, and seeing the connection between the two. They don't have to be in competition. And so we're proud to stand with you and to carry your stories today, as well as the stories of many women and families who can't be there, to make these important changes to create more opportunity. Thanks, everybody, and let's get ready to get on the buses and go to Boston.
Thank you.
All right.